Hey, what's going on, party people? Putting this YouTube video out to go over a topic that I think, well, I already know is sort of controversial, and it's dealing with Virginia notaries, and it's the subject of us collecting funds at the closing table when it's just us and the signer. According to Virginia law or policy, or however you want to call it, administrative rules, in this case it's called Virginia administrative rules, the state of Virginia does not allow notaries to collect funds at the table unless they are a licensed settlement agent or there is a licensed settlement agent. This is a big problem because a lot of notaries are being told to do this. And a lot of notaries also don't know that we're not supposed to do this. Therefore, you have notaries collecting funds of any amount, and that's not what we're supposed to be doing. In other states, it may be allowed, but in Virginia, it's not allowed. If you contact the Notary Commission or the Commonwealth of Virginia and talk to the people who you got your notary commission from, they don't know. They claim they don't know anything about it. Told me to refer to a lawyer, even though I sent them the information. But they act like they don't have any rules or anything or no say so in it. So I contacted the people who are a part of it, which is called the RESA, the RES, a real estate settlement agents. I contacted them, and they're with the SEC, the State Corporation Commission, the ones who actually license settlement agents, who give them their credentials and everything. And on their website, as well as on the NNA website, and I'm going to put the link in the description below to both of them. And really, if I put one in, it'll link it to the other one, but I'll put both of them in there independent of each other. It clearly says that unless we are a licensed settlement agent, we are not to collect funds. So you have title companies that don't work in Virginia, who aren't familiar with Virginia. They might be doing business here, and in all honesty, I think they're supposed to go through the SEC and the settlement people to get approved for that. But then you have the loan companies who these title companies are working for, are telling us to collect funds. And it gets real tense because they've told the borrower, get a cashier's check or write a personal check and give the money to the notary. And the notaries aren't allowed to collect or handle. And that is very important. You need to understand, we're not allowed to collect or handle. And when I say handle, meaning you open up the folder and they stick it in there, that is still you collecting, and that is you handling the funds, meaning you cannot transport those funds from that location to the FedEx to be mailed out. Case in point, I had a closing. I received a phone call after the closing was done. The people got the documents, and they got the envelope, and I was told that there was only one page out of the 170 pages left in that document. The whole envelope got bust open in transit. All that lady's information was gone. Her whole loan docs was gone. And fortunately, that was a scan back. So they was able to use the scan back, and I just had to get the note and the deed signed for his wet signature. But let's say that woman had had closing costs to pay, and I accepted the check, whether I knew or didn't know that I was supposed to in the state of Virginia, but I did anyway. And now her documents are gone. Somebody could have stole that check. The question is, would I be liable? And I think I would be. And our E&O insurance would not cover it because we're not allowed to do that. So the problem is, there's nothing that when you start becoming a notary on any of the sites that we sign up for, SnapDocs, whoever, that says we as notaries are not allowed to collect funds. There's nothing on the Commonwealth of Virginia site that says we are not allowed to collect funds. The only information that we will have is on the NNA site, and you have to actually specifically search for that. And what I did was I searched Virginia notaries collecting closing funds. and that linked me to the NNA site. So that's why, and see, just for clarity, I'm not going to read, even though I want to, I'm not going to read the information off the NNA site or the Virginia SEC site. I want you to read it for yourself, because I don't want anybody saying, oh, I'm just going by what Griff said, and then misconstrue what the ruling is, okay? So you need to read it for yourself. And the ruling that's on the NNA site is a snippet of a larger ruling that is on the SEC site. So if you want to find that specific wording that's on the NNA site, on the SEC site, you really have to do a search when you're on the SEC site for that, for that that information, and there's a phrase in there that says, and I'll just say this, says a notary public may obtain signatures. And you search for that on the SEC site, it'll take you to the section that has everything else that you're supposed to be allowed to do at the closing. So if you're being asked, you need to do this here. Before you even be asked, when you get the loan documents, and it's hard to ask ahead of time, say, hey, will there be closing this, that, because they ignore you, okay? Signing companies, title companies, all of them, they ignore you because they're just trying to get the job done. So what you do, as soon as you get the closing docs, you look and you see, is there closing funds due? If they are, then you email them, or you go through SnapDocs or whatever tool that you're using, whatever platform, and you contact them through whatever the preferred means, and you send them the link to the NNA site that says closing funds are due. Okay, closing funds are due. My bad. I heard something I ain't got distracted. You send them a link to the NNA site that says notaries are not allowed to collect closing funds when they are due. Okay, that's what you need to do. We are not allowed to collect funds when they are due. You send them that link and you let them read it for themselves and decipher it. Okay, and what I normally do is I send it and I say, Virginia notaries are not allowed to collect closing funds unless they are a licensed settlement agent with the proper insurance. And I am not a licensed settlement agent. Here's the link that further explains it. And I put the link in there and I hit send in, and it goes back to them. 99% of the time, they will read that and say, okay, we'll provide you with a second FedEx envelope. Or they will come back and say, funds are already being wired or will be wired, and end of the story. But every now and then, you'll get a situation where you didn't have time to check it and you didn't verify. You're on the go and you running, and then you get there at the table and then boom. Oh, there's closing funds due, $8,000, $10,000, whatever, and they got a cashier's check. And now you got to tell them I can't collect those funds. That becomes a little nerve-wracking. You start worrying about whether they're going to blacklist you, whether they're going to not allow you to do notary assignments anymore, all of that because you didn't collect funds. But you have to stay within the guidelines and the rules and do not collect funds. And I know some of you are doing this as a full-time business. I'm working toward doing it as a full-time business, and it is nerve-wracking because you're like, this could destroy everything that I'm doing. The thing is, you do this and you lose those funds, guess what? You are liable because you're not supposed to be doing this whether you knew or not. We know ignorance is no excuse for following the law. So your E&O insurance ain't going to cover you. None of that. So I let them know we're not allowed. I don't get into arguments with them or any of that. Now, their argument coming back to you is going to be this. Other notaries do it. So what's your problem? Other notaries do it. I've never heard of that. This is what I've been told. What you need to say is, I understand that, but notaries, just because other notaries do it, it does not mean that it's correct. And if they know it's incorrect, doesn't mean that I'm supposed to, I can't do it. And if they're doing it and they know it's incorrect, that's wrong. So here's what the NNA says that we're supposed to be abiding by. The NNA says this, and the NNA is saying this based off of Virginia saying this. So I can't put my commission in jeopardy because of that. And I understand wiring funds cost a little extra money for them, this, that, and the other. But I'm sorry, I can't collect the funds. Now, one of the things you have to be mindful of, and you do have to step up and speak, is if the borrower calls the loan officer or title company, a lot of times they will communicate. And even though you explain it to them, and sometimes I'll print the paperwork, I'll print the website out, a page out and have it with me. They'll sit there and instead of, after they've read this and they've been told and they see that, okay, you're not allowed, according to the administrative rules, to do this, they will then turn around and say to the title company or to whoever, their loan officer, the borrower, yeah, the notary is refusing to take funds. You have to step up and say, excuse me, I am not refusing to take funds. I am not allowed to. I can't refuse to do something that I'm not allowed to do. It's that simple. If I'm not allowed to go somewhere, how can I refuse to go somewhere? Well, you won't go over here. Well, I'm not allowed to go over there. It's nothing to refuse when you're not allowed to do something. So you have to stand up for yourself. And this, I'm serious, people. I'm serious. If you're going to do this thing, you got to do it right. And you cannot allow the 20-something-year-old folk, and a lot of people I'm talking to are people my age, 53 and above, and 40 and their 40s. And this is no disrespect to you young folk, but the young folk who are in their 20s and 30s who aren't doing this business, who don't know what it takes to do this business and to do it right, you cannot allow them to intimidate you into doing something you shouldn't be doing. And most loan officers are probably good, experienced ones are probably in their 30s and 40s. Not saying that they don't have young ones, but the ones who are good and experienced, they should not be forcing you or trying to force you into doing something that is not correct. And you have no recourse, you have no backup, you have no safety net on this. There is no, oh, okay, well, the notary didn't know, and you lose an $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 check. There's nothing that says a person won't give you a $100,000 check for closing, because that's what they was told to do. Because the company say we don't do wires, so you gotta provide a check, a cashier's check, or anything that's under $1,500. So you got a $1,200 check in your hand. You stick it in an envelope, and the envelope gets stolen. You're on the hook. And there's no explaining it away. There's no nothing. So I can't stress this enough. And I know people want to make money, but we are here as notaries to do things correctly. That's what this is about. Closing correctly. Not just sitting here saying, okay, I'm going to do what it takes to make money. Because to be honest, when you do that, then it makes it harder for one, you to do the right thing after you've been doing the wrong thing. And two, it makes it hard on those of us who are trying to do the right thing out the gate. And we're trying to do stuff correctly. And then they say, well, Earl, well, Shonda, or whoever has been taking funds from us. Well, we just won't use you. And guess what? One of the notaries who I work with, who I train, who I help, that happened to her. She's doing things right. And then all of a sudden, the title company tells the signing company, we won't use her because she's not comfortable collecting the funds. It's not anybody uncomfortable collecting funds. But it's not about that. It's about, I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to. And even when I called the signing company was like, well, if they told you to collect the funds, then you have to collect them. But if we're told not to, well, you got to do what the title company or the loan company says. It's like, no, we don't. We have to do what the rules say. And there's people out here who don't care. I mean, some companies have a great disrespect for notaries. They don't have a respect for us. And probably and mainly y'all know this because there's notaries out there who are just doing whatever for whatever, just doing stuff, cutting the fool, and it's just not right. Okay? Bottom line, they're just doing stuff. They're late. They're double booking themselves. They're not shipping the documents out on time. They're flat out not even stamping the stuff and notarizing stuff correctly and all of that, holding documents hostage. They're doing all of that. So when we're trying to do stuff right, then sometimes there's a little attitude toward us because, hey, well, we've had these bad experiences and they think we're being lazy, and we're not being lazy. We're just trying to do the stuff in the right manner. So yes, this is a little bit of a rant, because we're the last people, and to me, sometimes the most important person that are sitting down with that customer. Because let's just be honest, no matter how good the rate is, no matter how well the paperwork is put together, this deal don't get done without a notary. Not get done without Griff. I said notary. So it could be you, it could be me, it could be whoever. So this deal doesn't get done unless a notary, as they put it out there, qualified, certified, insured notary, sits down with the customer, verifies their identity, verify that they signed the documents the way that they've been instructed to sign, whether it's with their full name as it is, with their name as it is printed, or they've been given a latitude to sign their normal signature. Either which way it is, that is what we're to do. And once that is done, we send the documents back, everything else falls in place. And if we're asked to do everything else a part of the notary in the notary process correctly, don't leave the documents alone with them. Don't allow them to take the documents in the back, or if they do and they come back all signed and we didn't witness it, we can't sign it and notarize it saying that, hey, this is a valid signature because we saw. We can't do it. We're not allowed to do all that. So we're expected to follow the rules in that. But when it comes to this collecting of the money thing, oh, don't worry about that. Just collect the funds. Everything will be fine. No. Let's do things right. Let's do things the way they're supposed to be. Feel free to comment. Feel free to ask me questions directly, whatever. I don't care. But, I mean, to me, there's no getting around it. And all I'm going to say is you read the instruction for yourself. This has been out since 2016. And, yes, for almost a year, I was collecting funds because I did not know there was nothing. There's nothing out there. And if it is, if you know, then please post it, because outside of a title company telling me, hey, you're not allowed to do this, I would have never known that I wasn't supposed to be collecting funds. I had no idea. There was nothing that I had ever read. And I read that Virginia handbook. There's nothing in that handbook that says you are not to collect funds at closing as a notary. There's nothing. The only thing there is in those links that I put down there in the description. That's it. And if you don't know that thing exists, you will never ever find it, because there's no breadcrumbs, there's no trail, there's no nothing. With all the notary training out there, and I don't fault any of it from any of the people who are doing it. You become a notary and they say, hey, sign up for this people and that's people, and you got to do this training. And none of that training, none of it says, hey, Virginia notaries, you're not allowed to do this. None of it. It's sign documents this way, sign documents that way. That is very important, and it's clear that some of the title companies, signing companies, loan companies do not know this rule here in Virginia. So one of the things that I also did in my profile, if you look up my profile on SnapDocs and then signing order, when a person pulls my profile up, at the top, it specifically says Virginia notaries are not allowed to collect funds at closing unless we're licensed. And I give them the link, what you see in the description below, so that they can read it for themselves. I don't want to take any chances. So if somebody comes and they read my profile, they be like, oh, okay, I know now. And you can't sit here and try to force me. And I'll be honest, I sort of been trying to ignore this subject because I know it's touchy, and I know it's going to burn some people, because some people it's still going to be like, I ain't worried about that. Screw that. I'm going to do what I need to do because I'm trying to make my money. I'm trying to get paid. I ain't going to let this little half bald headed bearded guy, with the little cute glasses tell me what to do. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. The rule is the rule. The rule is telling you what to do. I'm just sharing with you an experience where a notary refused to take the sign, and that's what happened. I mean, I've been in them several signings, and first thing, either the loan officer or the signer, or because sometimes the loan officer is there, or the real estate agent, they get on the line and say the notary is refusing to take closing. He won't take the closing call. I said, when did I say I refuse? Well, you said you won't. I said, never said I won't. I said I'm not allowed. Well, I said, did I say I won't? Well, I mean, no, that's not what you said. Then why are you saying that I said it? Why are you saying that I said something and you know I didn't say that? Well, okay. Well, he said that the notaries are not allowed to collect funds. Thank you. That is the right way to say it. Do not lie on me. Do not sit up there and make me look like a bad person, like a bad notary, like somebody who's being lazy and just refusing. Because I know we got notaries out there who think they run the show and who are dominant and just coming in there and throwing the documents down in front of people and making them sign in 15 minutes and walking out not explaining nothing to them because they got 6 more signings in the same hour. I get that. And if that's what you do, fine. But at the end of the day, you are still not allowed to collect funds. Period. Trust me. Call the SEC yourself. Talk to them yourself. Because there are people who have actually went and tried to apply to be a settlement agent so they could collect funds. Here's the thing. Being a settlement agent, you have to get additional E&O insurance and bond, and you have to get a surety bond. So I think it's a total of probably close to $400,000 in additional insurance between E&O and that bond, on top of your notary stuff. All because you're going to be collecting what? Maybe 10 closings a year? Funds for 10 I don't collect that many. So I'm going to spend all that time and money to get licensed as a settlement agent just to collect a few checks per year. It's not worth it. And you cannot ask the signing companies to increase your fee because of that. Oh, give me some more money because I'm a licensed settlement agent. Maybe if you're working directly with somebody, but and then at that, you're going to be probably trying to push about maybe $200 to $300 per signing, because you ain't going. I mean, because it's mute if you're trying to get just $100 per signing and you done spent this money to be a licensed settlement agent. It's expensive. It costs a lot, and you got to get relicensed and recertified. I think either every year or every so many years. It's not worth it. And again, yes, I know I'm sound like I'm rambling, sound like some crazy old bearded man and all of that, but I'm telling you facts of life. Keep playing around with this thing. Keep collecting funds if you want. Let them funds get stolen or whatever the case may be. And guess what? You're going to be in a world of hurt. There's no recourse. I've looked. There is no recourse. And I've been dealing with this for over a year. So this ain't something that just popped up with the pandemic. This is something that's been going on since 2019. Over a year that I've been dealing with this off and on. And I'm telling you, there is no recourse. If you take the money and you lose it, you're going to be in some mess. It's that simple. You get jacked and they steal that money, you're going to be in some mess. I've had people give me money orders. I've had people give me personal checks, certified checks, all of that kind of stuff. And I wasn't supposed to collect it. So I don't know how else to say it. Don't do it. If you do, that's on you. So I really didn't mean for this video to be this long. But I'm trying, I was just trying to make sure I said everything that needed to be said and all the reference points. But the culmination of all of this that like a pimple that came up was my friend texted me and said she was told that she was no longer going to be used by by one of the signing company's clients because she didn't feel comfortable collecting funds when That's not the case. She's not allowed to, just like I'm not allowed to, just like you're not allowed to. If you are a licensed, if you're a notary in the state of Virginia collecting signatures at the closing table, you're not allowed to collect funds. It's just that simple. So take it for what it's worth. Feel free to comment. Feel free to look at it yourself. And if you keep doing it, just know that, hey, after you looked at this video, there's no excuse. There's no excuse at all. So I gave you some tools, some ways to deal with it. Contact them, let them know, be polite and nice. Don't say that I ain't done it. You ain't got to do all that. The ruling speaks for itself. And 99% of the companies who see that have said, we'll send you a second FedEx slip. We'll ask the customer to wire it. And the only recourse that these companies have to say back to you is simply this: other notaries do it. I ain't never heard that. Which is code for shut up, take the money and get it back to us because we need it for closing. I get that. But they themselves are responsible for understanding the rules in the state in which they are operating in. So if you want to get funds from us in this state, they need to know what the rules are for that, and they can easily find out. They're responsible for doing that, just like we're responsible for doing it. So take it for what it's worth, people. Appreciate the time listening again. Sorry that the video was so long. Didn't mean to it. I thought I would be in here and out in like 3 or 4 minutes, but nah. All right. This is very important. All right. Peace.